Welcome to the Bridge of Two podcast. Yes, we said we were going on hiatus, and we said we'd return.
And we have returned.
Promises made, promises kept.
Somehow Palpatine returned.
Take that, doubters, whoever you are. Somehow the podcast returned. We took a break. Last episode was aired on June 19th.
Whew, really? That long ago?
So it's, over pretty much 6 months.
Half a year.
Or no, more than 6 months, yeah.
Yeah, we had a lot happen.
We did. So let's, so our episode, we're going to start off by just doing a life update for y'all. Because there's some things to share.
I'm sure you can hear one of them right now.
The bridge had a baby.
The bridge has become 3. Yeah, that's probably the biggest news. I had a baby. Well, my wife and I had a baby. She had it.
Fair. Yeah.
And that really, I think, is probably what extended most of the hiatus. Because as we were getting near the end of that, I wanted to give more time to Steph to be able to help her out. And then obviously with the baby, that life became non-existent for like a good couple months.
Right.
Or a good month. So.
Right.
And she's making her presence known right now.
Is that, and I guess that's the big thing for you, right? Has anything else changed?
Really? Other than that, just some more school things. But that's the biggest change for me. Just that.
That's a big one.
It is a big one. A cute one. Awesome.
Congrats. On behalf of those listening, I say congrats to you.
Thank you. Maybe she'll grow up listening to this podcast, who knows?
Yeah.
What have you been up to? What's going on in your half a year?
We bought a house. That's our big one.
Ooh.
One day I was glancing at the housing market and our finances, and I was just like, I think if we can sell our house for the right amount, we could actually afford to get into a better house, better neighborhood, that sort of thing. And that happened really fast. We talked to a realtor like within a few days, and then a house just popped up on the market like a week after we talked to the realtor or something like that. Maybe sooner. My wife has the timeline down better than me probably. She said she found it, and it was outside of the price range we had said it was going to be.
Yeah.
But it was
always
it looked like such a good deal, as far as the size, the neighborhood, and the price. We couldn't believe it. And so we had to make an offer, and long story short, it all worked out, and been in it since August.
It's a beautiful house too.
Yeah.
Nice area, nice yard, great for the kids.
Yeah, it's been great. It really has. There was definitely on the part of the kids some sadness when we were getting ready to move, and us too. Lots of memories at our first house, but we've just fallen in love with this house so quickly. It just feels like home.
Yeah.
Feels like I told Aaron the other night, I was like, it feels like we found our home.
Mm-hmm.
Like it feels like we didn't just say this house will work, we'll make it work, whatever. It's like it feels like we discovered the place we were supposed to move to, which obviously things could change down the line, but it's been great there. It's been awesome, magical,
very magical. That's awesome.
But yeah, so that's I think that's it for me too.
Yeah, kind of just some not a lot of life changes, but a couple big ones.
Yeah.
That just kind of kept us away from recording, being able to find the time.
Yeah.
But we're back now, and I'll tell you what, we may have had some big life changes, but that don't mean we've stopped
being nerds.
Definitely have kept up on the fantasy sci-fi nerd thing, especially when Emma was born. There's nothing else to do but just sit and play games and read and watch movies. So.
And when did y'all have her?
November 16th.
Nice.
Is her birthday.
So there you go. Put that on your calendars.
Everybody put that on your calendars. We're going to celebrate her birthday.
Get her
together.
something every year, right before Thanksgiving. So awesome. Well, yeah. So we thought a way to kind of come back from the hiatus and also catch up on things we would have liked to talk about is to, in the spirit of what everybody does now, apparently every tech thing you have an account with will now send you an email or a link or whatever with your Wrapped for the year.
Mm-hmm.
Which, like, it used to just be Spotify, but now I got one from Sling.
Well, YouTube does it too. YouTube does that YouTube Recapped or whatever.
See, I didn't even know that.
But they go through. That's not like your personal thing. That's like
YouTube.
A YouTube thing.
Which that makes sense. But like, Sling sent me a thing of like the channels that I watch, and Steam did it this year.
Steam did it?
Yeah, I have a Steam Wrapped. That helped me actually.
I don't think I got that.
And I'm trying to think of what other ones, but like that's the thing now. So we're gonna do kind of that, but we're gonna call it Bridge of Two Awards.
The Bridge of Two Awards.
Yeah, because that sounds fun.
It's like an award show.
And it makes it sound like more important than it is. So,
there will not actually be any awards given. No one gets prizes.
Well, there will be. Just imagine that there are. We're all in tuxes, and
you get a tiny golden bridge.
Yeah, exactly. The most coveted award you could receive. But yeah, so we have some lists, a little list here for just the things we wanted to mention from last year that really, we really found ourselves lost in the best way.
In the best ways.
I don't know. How would you say it?
Just things that we enjoyed, things that we grew to love or spent a lot of time with. So we'll start with movies. Movies this year, I did not do much with movies.
Right.
I didn't really go to the movies much. There's not too much movies out there right now that kind of are really piquing my interest.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of done with Marvel. I haven't really. Yeah. There hasn't been any Star Wars movies, but even that I'm kind of done with. So actually, my favorite movie this year that I could think of that I watched, is not a sci-fi fantasy movie at all. It's actually just an action movie. It's called Extraction 2 on Netflix.
Oh, is that Chris Hemsworth?
With Chris Hemsworth.
Okay.
Just your classic action-packed, cool guy killing things.
Yeah.
That's what I'm picking just because that's the one I could think of, really the main one I could think of.
Yeah.
It was new movies that I've watched. Obviously, right. I've watched Star Wars and Harry Potter, and those movies are great. But, like, new movies, definitely going with that one. If you like action movies, like your Jason Bournes, your, I lost track of it, like a war movie, like
Jack
maybe,
Ryan's,
or like even like Black Hawk Down type movies. Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
Check it out. It's very graphic. Like it's definitely got some graphic in it. But it's good. Story's interesting enough. Plus Chris Hemsworth's in it, and he's just a good actor in my opinion.
Nice.
Good fight sequences. So yeah, check it out.
Have you seen Extraction 1?
I have. I saw that a couple years ago when it first came out.
Is it better than Extraction 1? Do you remember thinking when you were watching Extraction 2, this is better?
It had a little bit more action. I think I like Extraction 1 a little bit better, just because it was kind of just him, whereas Extraction 2 has more people in it.
Okay.
But they're both good movies.
Nice.
Yeah, if you like that type of movie, definitely check it out.
I saw like an article or something the other day about that being apparently a pretty good franchise for Chris Hemsworth.
Mm-hmm.
It probably will continue.
I hope so. They're good. They're just enjoyable. They're one of those things that you can sit down and on your TV if you just want to watch an action movie and watch it. It doesn't have like some crazy plot you got to try and follow. It doesn't have, whatever.
If you want to see something get extracted.
Exactly.
Chris Hemsworth's your
guy. An honorable mention.
Okay.
And I'm putting it as an honorable mention because we haven't finished it yet. But Rebel Moon.
Okay.
On Netflix by, I think it was Zack Snyder.
Yeah.
Steph and I are halfway through it. We keep getting distracted while watching it.
Okay.
Not because it's a bad movie, just because we're distracted.
Uh-huh.
Probably more with the baby than anything.
Right.
But so far, it's good. It's a Zack Snyder film. You know, just like if you've seen 300,
lots of slow mo.
Lots of slow mo. If you've seen 300, if you've seen, it's lots of slow mo. Sometimes I feel like it's in too much slow mo. The story seems interesting though. What's cool about it though, as I was reading up on it, is it was initially pitched as a Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
Way back when, and he's basically just been trying to find a way to get it going.
Mm-hmm.
And he wants it to be a whole universe.
Yeah.
Like books,
like a franchise.
Franchise. Books, more movies, maybe shows.
Yeah.
If that ends up happening, I think that'd be really cool. Watching it, it gives me very strong Warhammer vibes. Like they call the thing the Militarium.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. Just very Warhammer. The guns are very big
Uh-huh.
and just bulky. Like her handgun is bulky.
Okay.
But the action's cool. Story seems interesting. It's got some really cool special effects. I'll be interested to see what continues. I know they have a part 2 planned.
Okay.
For this year.
A question. I think people don't like Zack Snyder because of Justice League, the whole Justice League Snyder cut.
Mm-hmm.
Like how the fans how the fans, how they act about Justice League Snyder cut and all that. But so I almost think there's a bias to this, that people are like already wanting to hate this, but I've seen a lot of negativity about it. I haven't seen it, but I've seen so much negativity about it, and I don't know if it's warranted or if it's just like, are they judging it for something it's not trying to be?
I'd have to sit and actually watch the whole
movie. And I know you're, right.
It's not like the best movie.
But it's but you put it in an honorable mention, so it must have, because
it's a pretty classic sci-fi,
right?
And it's it's enjoyable. Like I'm enjoying watching.
Yeah. Cool.
But I mean, I wouldn't sit there and be like, I would.
That makes me want to give it a chance.
I think if I had watched it fully through, I probably wouldn't put it. I still probably wouldn't have put it as my favorite.
Right.
I mean, I might have, just because I haven't watched a lot of, like I said, I haven't watched any movies this year. I've been more watching shows or reading.
Yeah.
But I don't know. So like I said, so far, we'll come back to it. Maybe we'll do an episode on it.
Yeah.
Because it's not a bad movie. Don't watch it in front of the kids.
Right.
But I don't know, it has potential to be really good. Like the franchise or the universe, whatever, has potential. I mean, I'm intrigued by the story in the universe itself.
Yeah.
I think really the slow-mo kind
then
of
just the name sounds like a Star Wars thing, Rebel Moon.
And they literally have swords.
I mean, wasn't Endor
a
moon where rebel things were happening?
Yeah. Yes, it was. I mean, it starts off super similar to Rogue One, actually, where it's a farming society. Not like one person, but it's a farming society, and these people come and are gonna go be jerks.
Yeah, they forced her hand.
I'd recommend giving it a chance. If you like sci-fi, like Warhammer or Star Wars, give it a try, check it out. I want to finish it. I'll put it that way.
Right.
So honorable mention. What about you? What's a favorite movie of yours that you've watched this year?
Okay, so I mentioned several things, but I had for my favorite movie, I kind of put a tie between Indiana Jones 5, Dial of Destiny, and Super Mario Brothers movie.
I have not seen either of those.
Right. So Indiana Jones and Dial of Destiny was a film that definitely saw a lot of negativity about. There was also some good positive stuff for it too. People didn't like seeing old Indiana Jones be old, basically, is what.
I mean, yeah, but come on, Harrison Ford's old, like.
Right, that's my thing, is that, and that's something that he said in all the press, is he was like, he actually liked seeing that character have to deal with that, and have to face that. And yet it was still a really good, Indiana Jones story.
That's my question. Was it a good Indiana Jones movie? I know a lot of people wasn't a big fan of the previous movie.
Yeah, no, it was way better than the previous movie. And as far as a movie, knowing this is his last as Indiana Jones, it was a really good movie that kind of rounded out the whole characters, the character, a good way to send off the character, and and also like the story is addressing things from the character's past and things. It was just a really good capstone. Definitely glad that it didn't end on the fourth movie.
Yeah.
So
with Shia LaBeouf in it,
and just the experience. Aaron and I saw it in theaters, and it was just a very magical experience watching Harrison Ford as Indiana Jones one more time, and some really good performances by the other cast and stuff. So, actually, you mentioned Rogue One, the guy who makes the designs of the Death Star. What's her name's dad is the villain in Destiny.
Galen Erso or something.
Yeah. Jalen Erso or something. Yeah. Whatever his name is. Yeah.
I want to check that one out.
Yeah.
I've been meaning to. I still have to watch. I only watched the first two Indiana Jones movies.
Oh man, the third one's so good.
I never watched the third. We never really continue on because Steph doesn't like them because she thinks they're weird.
That's
which
funny.
I mean, to be fair, they are, but that's kind of the fun of them.
Well, the second one is definitely.
She wasn't a fan of the second one.
Yeah, the second one is definitely like it's not the worst one, but it's the hardest. Like, I don't know when I'll let the kids watch that one. Like, I'll probably let the kids watch. With certain scenes having them look away, they've watched the first and the third one, and I'll probably let them watch the fourth one, and the fifth one maybe not. There's just a couple of at the beginning. There's just a lot of people getting shot, like and it's more graphic because it's just
newer.
Just the technology, is better. When they get shot in the old movies, they're just falling down, basically. Anyway, so that was definitely one I wanted to mention. Long anticipated.
Out of curiosity, do you think they'll end up rebooting Indiana Jones?
I don't think so.
Or do you?
I mean, maybe in years might.
Did they cap this one out like it's got an ending and?
I mean, they did.
I guess most of the movies.
They did cap it out. It has an ending. I'm not gonna spoil how it ends or whatever, how it does that, but because that's part of the fun of watching it is not knowing like how are they gonna end this character, or wrap up this character. But the thing about it is the Harrison Ford has been so vocal against the idea. He's like. So vocal against the idea. There was some talk a few years ago before this movie came out about Chris Pratt taking over like as the character or something like that, or being like the son and taking on the mantle kind of thing.
I hate that. I wouldn't hate that.
Yeah, I mean, he's got that
comedic relief, but also
he can be serious. Yeah, he's actually a good balance of those two things. I
could definitely see it being a cool son of situation,
right?
But yeah, I don't know. I think I don't think
when Harrison Ford heard that, like someone said that to him in an interview, and he was just like completely like blasted the idea. He's like, when I'm gone, he's gone.
He's kind of grouchy though.
Oh yeah, he is.
He's a grouchy.
But I think that's the character that he is kind of the most protective over.
100%. He doesn't care about Han Solo at all.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he urged for Han Solo to die in episode 5.
He did. So, yeah, so that's my thing for Indiana Jones 5. And then Super Mario Brothers, mainly I said that because of the nostalgia. I mean, Indiana Jones has that too, but Super Mario Brothers was so much fun because it's something that, I grew up playing a lot of those games.
Yeah. And
it's so well done. It's just such a fun movie. They do so many references and not in a way where you're like rolling your eyes. Like, it's so fun the way they do the way they reference things from the games or incorporate them. The other fun thing was I could take my kids to it. So taking my kids to see that in theaters was amazing, and they loved it. They loved that movie. So that was like a huge high point, getting to anytime you can bring your family along with something that you really love, it's a magical thing. So that's me for favorite movie.
I do have a not a favorite movie. I mean, it is a favorite movie, but more of like a movie experience this year. We didn't go to the theaters much, but Steph and I did go see the 30th anniversary Return of the Jedi in theaters, and I gotta tell you, that was magical. I initially thought when we first got tickets, I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna, like, how much I'm gonna. That was last year, right? 2023.
Yeah, I'm sure it was.
I didn't know if I was going to enjoy it. I've seen those movies so many times, and so a lot of times now when I throw them on, I'm usually doing something else when I'm watching them.
Right.
Just because I can literally quote them from memory.
Right.
But going in and watching the big screen, I mean, I was just glued to the screen the whole time. It felt so cool. First time seeing it, obviously in theaters, because it came out before I was born. I mean, it was just such a fun experience, and I hope that they do stuff like that for like the 40th or 50th anniversary for A New Hope and Empire, so I could see those in theaters. Yeah. Because that was just so cool.
Well, if they do it for that, you'd be able to take Emma.
Gosh, I can't.
Yeah.
I can't wait to show Emma Star Wars.
Yeah.
I think that's probably my one of my favorite things about being a dad now is just I can show.
But they'll have it in. They'll have stuff in the theaters too. Like you'll get a chance, I'm sure, to go take her to the theaters, to see them. I did have an honorable mention for movie. Was the Honor Among Thieves, the D&D movie.
Yes, that was a good one. That was a very good one.
That was one that was just another kind of similar to Super Mario, like the references, the way they pulled off doing a D&D movie that felt like a D&D campaign.
Yeah.
But also felt like a good heist kind of movie.
They did do really good with that one. They also the actors were perfect.
Yeah, they were
for their roles.
They were. Everybody was very believable and entertaining. So that was one I wanted to mention. But
if you haven't seen that one and you're a fantasy or D&D fan, go check it out.
Definitely.
It seemed silly initially. Like it was like, this is gonna be dumb, but it was actually a really good movie, just in general, a good movie, and then also good for D&D lovers because it does got a lot of good references.
Lily starts with characters giving their character backstories. All right, so we got movies. We got. Did you want to say favorite show?
Yeah, let's do show. What's your favorite show? Let's start with you.
I was gonna say Ahsoka. I have another one. But yeah, Ahsoka. It was another opportunity for Dave Filoni to show why he needs to be guiding the future of Star Wars.
Yes,
because he brings these characters from animation into live action in a very believable way and endears you to them, and then he's also continuing storylines from the animated stuff, creating characters like Baylan Skoll, who's like a dark version of Qui-Gon Jinn. That's like was just such a interesting character. Also, just the magic of seeing Hayden Christensen on screen again as Anakin Skywalker.
Yes.
That was by far, one of the highlights of anything I watched last year or did last year as far as sci-fi or fantasy goes was seeing that.
Yeah, I don't think I'd put Ahsoka as my favorite, partly because I also never even finished the last episode yet. I still need to do that. But that being said, favorite moment, experience, anything of last year, 100% seeing Hayden Christensen as Anakin fighting Ahsoka. Yeah. That whole episode is like the highlight of my year. That was pretty phenomenal. And I love Hayden Christensen. I love the prequels.
Right.
And I love Anakin. And so just seeing him back in full form and just like absolutely killing it.
Yeah.
And on top of that, the child actor for Ahsoka did a phenomenal job.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that whole episode, there's just a lot to unpack. We'll have to just do a whole episode unpacking that.
Yeah.
We'll have to do a whole episode, a podcast just unpacking that episode because that was such a good episode.
That would be fun to do.
Especially as being a big Clone Wars fan as I am.
Right.
Yeah, those are just so good. And I agree that Dave Filoni he needs to be in charge. He needs to be running things.
Which he did get a big promotion. Mm-hmm. He's going to be like at the very instead of being consulted once projects are started, he's going to be he's like the lead creative person. So he's at the start of every project Star Wars related going forward.
Good. He should be. I mean, he trained under the man himself,
Yeah. Yeah, he gets it. So yeah, that was Ahsoka. What would you say for your favorite show?
Hands down, have to go Attack on Titan.
Oh yeah, I had a feeling you were going to say that.
I started it and finished it last year, and I might have started it at the end of 2022, but I watched the majority of it at least throughout 2023, and my gosh, that show consumed me. It is so good. I'm now going to rewatch it with Steph. I think I got you watching it now.
Oh yeah. I'm good way into season 1.
If you like anime, and even if you don't like anime, if you're skeptical about anime but you like a good story that makes you feel a lot of things, that's got a lot more depth to it than you initially think, give Attack on Titan a watch. It's 4 seasons of amazing goodness. The animation is top notch, especially as you get further in. Yeah, I can't speak highly enough of Attack on Titan. It was so good.
It's very entertaining for me to watch. Like, and maybe the deeper I get into it, probably I'll feel more. But right now, it's just enjoying the just over the top anime emotions of the characters and the 1 second things are so serious, and the next second, someone's freaking out about needing to eat a potato or something.
I can't wait to hear your thoughts as you get into the further seasons, because I just can't. Yeah, I'll be curious, because I was the same way. I was just enjoying the show to start, and then I got invested as it progressed, and a couple different twists here and there that just that's a big one.
I love watching that show and just being like, what is happening?
Oh, 100%.
I love and I'll just say it out loud, but not upset at all. It's just like a smile on my face, like, what is happening?
There's been a couple of times where it's been on, and Steph will come sit out and eat food on the couch while I'm watching it, and she'll just look up and be like, what is happening right now? And I will look at her and be like, you know what? I also don't fully know.
It's part of
but isn't it? And I have a big grin on my face. I have a big grin on my face. I'm just like, but isn't it awesome?
I did have it's kind of an honorable mention, but it was really, I just said favorite show experience. I got Aaron to watch season 4 of Stranger Things with me last year.
Oh, was that this year?
2023, yeah.
Or 2023?
Yeah, because I had watched it. Did it come out in 2022 or 2021?
It's been a bit. Probably early 2022.
Yeah, so yeah, so I mean, that was a great season. She's watched all of them with me, and they're a little bit, at times they get more on the scary, violent side than what she really is, where her sweet spot is for watching stuff,
Yeah.
But she loves the characters, and I knew that she would love seeing the characters in everything that goes on in season 4, so, but I forget how it happened. I kind of gave up a little bit on it, and then somehow I got her to start it, and then that was it. That was all she wrote.
Yeah, that's all you need for that one.
Plus, it's just very there's a part you don't want to watch, don't watch it.
Just turn it,
yeah, I don't feel weird or whatever, because it's better to not miss out on the show,
especially that one, because that whole show, especially that 4th season.
4th season is a lot harder.
Yeah. Well, it's just a good show in general. That's
but yeah, season 4. Yeah, no,
that's
season
just
4
a must watch.
Iconic stuff. I was getting chills while we were watching it with her. So that was just a very magical experience, her freaking out at all the moments that I freaked out at watching, and then scaring her after we watched it, and doing the Vecna voice and stuff. But so.
Oh, yeah, you still do that. You'll leave the a little clock, grandfather clock.
Oh yeah, we found
it. Or you'll
she
play
started
the noise.
that. She started that. We have a little.
That was 2 weeks ago. You guys are still doing it.
Yeah, that little toy clock will show up in random places, from her or me. So
just messing with each other.
Yeah. What about you? Do you have an honorable mention?
I have. Yeah, I have an honorable mention / experience thing as well. Right when Emma was born, obviously you have a newborn, you can't really leave the house and do a whole lot. So Steph and I would sit on the couch, especially at night when she would finally go down. And we started watching Strange New Worlds, Star Trek Strange New
Oh.
Worlds.
Yeah.
One really good show. So that's why I'm putting it as an honorable mention. Just really good story, classic Star Trek, but modern. So like story wise, it's kind of just a show that's like doesn't have crazy stakes. It doesn't feel like it's not like Ahsoka or Attack on Titan or whatever. It doesn't have crazy stakes. But the story is still good. The characters are interesting, and the special effects are absolutely phenomenal. I mean, some of the best special effects I've seen in sci-fi recently, like movie or show.
Yeah.
And then also just the experience of just having watched that with my wife right after our baby was born, and just like that, just is, it just like holds a special place in my heart at this point.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. The post baby shows always hit different.
So just that, yeah, Strange New Worlds. So not just the experience, but also just a good show. So I mean, honestly, especially if you like Star Trek, go check that one out. Because I can't wait. I'm honestly excited for the next season to come out. It's really good. The character's really good. Story. It's just fun to watch.
Nice.
What do you say we take a quick break? We'll come on back.
All right, we'll take a quick break. Stick around. We're back with
again
the Bridge of Two Awards. Yeah, we're still back.
We're still back. We need an award show song or a theme playing.
We do. Like, we'll just play the theme song backwards or something. I wonder if that would sound any good.
Probably not.
Especially when you get to the talking parts.
No, that would get kind of creepy. We're going to be some demonic something.
Yeah. Okay, so we got watching. The awards have been given. The bridges have been given for watching. So let's go to reading for 2023. Do you have a favorite book for 2023?
So I narrowed it down to a favorite book, and then I have like a couple like favorite / honorable mention series. I didn't read as much this year as I have in past years. I blame it on just the different things going on. But I will put my favorite book this year as The Sunlit Man.
Oh wow!
Secret Project 4.
Okay.
From Brandon Sanderson.
Nice.
I loved all the other Secret Projects, and I've enjoyed all the other books I've read, but that one was the most Cosmere heavy and the most action packed, and I just really enjoyed reading it. Liked the character, the story.
Right.
Just really enjoyable in general to read. Like I said, I liked all of them. My least favorite Secret Project was probably Frugal Wizard's Guide.
Right.
Yeah. Not even because it's not Cosmere, just because it just wasn't. It was good, but it just wasn't my favorite. But yeah, I'm going with Sunlit Man as my favorite book this year.
Nice.
Yeah,
I love that one too. That was my most anticipated one because I had read the sample chapters, so I knew it was. I knew who the character from Stormlight was, and I knew I knew some of those connections. So I was like very hungry to figure out what I could figure out.
That was part of the fun of it for me. Was I didn't read any of the sample chapters. So like reading through it, having guesses as to who the character was, because I knew it took place in the future, and it obviously took place as someone who was a Stormlight character. But then kind of having getting hints and tidbits here and there of who it might be, and then finally learning who it really was.
Yeah.
Which is just so fun. I just like that's part of the big thing I like about the Cosmere is like when you have characters that you've already seen, but then they're named something different on a different planet or a different book, and like finally realizing like, oh, that's that person.
Right.
Sanderson does that so well. It's the big reason why I like the Cosmere so much. So that was just so enjoyable, and like I said, it's action packed. I like the action in it, the magic, the world in general. Brandon Sanderson's just a master of world building, and even in this small book, it just shows.
Yeah. Yeah, it was great. It was a good one. I agree. That's definitely one up there on my list. Did you want to mention your honorable mentions, or do you want to wait?
Let's do your favorite book, and then I'll hit my honorable mentions.
So I think you read this one 2022 at the end of the year. So I read The Lost Metal in January.
Okay, yeah, I had read it as soon as it came out in November.
Because I had to finish. I still was finishing Bands of Mourning after the Dragonsteel 2022 convention.
That's right. I remember you reading it in lines.
You were reading one?
Bands of Mourning.
Oh, yeah.
You were like reading it on your phone while we were standing in line?
Yes. I had the audiobook in my ear trying to finish it because I was trying to have as little spoiled as possible, which I think actually I didn't finish it, but I got far enough that I don't remember ever thinking in any of the Q&As like, oh, I didn't realize that, so anyway, but The Lost Metal, it's just hard to it's a great conclusion to the Wax and Wayne books,
100%.
And that's a very Cosmere heavy book. That was the book where he said, it was at that release party where Brandon said the gloves are off as far as like pulling back on his references and being, it was very front and center. Cosmere things were happening, and lots of, crossover stuff. Yep. So that was really fun. I love Wax, love Wayne. So that one definitely is at the top of my list for books read, which I actually was counting. I think so last year was the most or tied for the most Brandon Sanderson books I've read in a year, which was only at 5, but
yeah,
because of the secret projects.
Yep.
So the secret projects were great, but I still have the Lost Metal up there on top. So
the Lost Metal 100% would have been my favorite if it was read in, but I think I had started it while we were still at the convention.
Yeah, you did.
And finished it, like, it was so good I flew through that one.
Mm-hmm.
That one's up there as one of my favorite Sanderson books, actually. Because they wrapped up the Wax and Wayne stuff so good.
Yeah, that'd be a good. I'll that'll be an interesting one to see when like we get further down the line in the Cosmere books, like whenever more into the Space Age and other things, like to see. I just think that book is going to be a really important book in the Cosmere's like overall history.
I think so as well.
So much was happening there, but so what do you got for honorable mentions?
Honorable mentions are both 2 series that I read for the first time. One series I've read previously, but I never finished it, so I'm counting it as reading it for the first time. The Eragon series.
Oh, right.
The 4 Eragon books. I had read the first few a while back, actually right before I read Stormlight 1, The Way of Kings. And Stormlight 1 got me to stop reading.
How many years did it take you to come back? Is it 3?
5. I read it when I read it when Steph and I first started dating.
Right.
So I came back finally. I read the Eragon series and ended up really, really enjoying it. Easy read, fun, classic fantasy with dragons. And I was trying to get it done, and I did. I was reading it before he had the Murtagh book come out, which takes place in the same universe but different story, and the main character is different. It's another character from the series, but he's a different main character. And that came out in November, right before Emma was born, and I have gotten halfway through it, and just I don't know, something happened. I just couldn't keep going. It wasn't holding my attention as much anymore. So I'm taking a break on it. I'll go back to it. But the Eragon series is definitely an honorable mention for me this year. And the other one I read at the very beginning of the year, which I forgot that I read this year, but absolutely adored and loved, was the Rogue Squadron series.
Okay.
The first 4 or 5 books with oh wow, you cannot remember his name.
Is he the same guy from the Jedi Academy books?
Yes. No. Yes. No. Yes. No. Corran Horn.
Yeah.
It has Corran Horn in it.
He's in Jedi Academy.
But he's not the main character in Jedi Academy.
Oh, okay.
He's not the playable character. Anyway, he's in that. You come to find out later on that he's a Jedi. Spoilers. But I just really enjoyed those movies. I mean, I enjoyed those books. The first book in general was very much like Top Gun, but Star Wars. So it was just, they were very fun, very easy reads. I had never read them before, but I've been wanting to. So I was glad I finally got to them. So that's definitely an honorable mention for me. It got me kind of hype on Star Wars for a little bit until I, again, dropped off it like I tend to do. But good books. If you like Star Wars, you like Starfighter Pilots, go check it out.
Get it.
just completely random. Did you ever play the Rogue Squadron game for Nintendo 64?
A while. I mean, a little bit, not a lot.
But there was one on the GameCube too.
Not a lot, but I wasn't when I was younger. Those weren't the flying games weren't my favorite.
They're because they're harder probably. Well, I'm not taking shots at your prowess at playing games as a child, but so if I had an honorable mention, I was just going to throw out that Tress was my favorite Seeker project.
Okay, yeah.
So I was trying to think about it, and try to be, because I read The Sunlit Man the most recently, but I remember I loved Tress when I was reading it through the first time, and I did just finish Yumi Nightmare Painter, and I love that one as well, and that one's. There's definitely certain things about that book that I would rank above the others. Mm-hmm. The way the story weaves together, it's definitely it feels like a more complicated story in a lot of ways than the other two. But just as far as the overall, I think because I knew maybe Sunlit Man might have been my top if I hadn't known so much about it and had all this expectation. I loved Sunlit Man. It was great. But I think not really knowing what Tress was going into it and just having that enjoyment of the all the different twists and turns that it took that I wasn't expecting, didn't know. And also just really enjoyed the sort of whimsical tone that it had.
Yeah, that's what I'll definitely say. I'll definitely say about Tress is it was definitely far more fun to read. Having the narrator be wit automatically makes it hilarious,
right? And he's a crazy, a ridiculous character.
Yeah, and then he's a ridiculous character in the story. Just his own little tidbits and things that are added in just make it just a really funny and whimsical read.
Yeah,
calling everyone that isn't important.
Doug's.
Yeah. Is hilarious. The random tidbits of lore that he'll drop that you have that I'm sure is super serious and means something important, but we don't know about it.
Right.
And then just the setting in general, the pirate-esque setting, but then also on this sea made of spores, which is just super cool. It's just that one is definitely. I mean, all three of the secret projects are always our top of my list this year for sure.
Right.
It's definitely a really good. Tress is a good starting off point too for Brandon Sanderson.
Yeah,
it's different than a lot of his other books because it is a lot more whimsical, but it is really good.
It's more. It's very. It feels, even though there's all sorts of references pulled in, but it feels very self-contained.
Yes.
You kind of know when you read the end of the story that this is where it needs to end, and we don't need another Tress book necessarily. Yep. Let's move on to our last category.
Actually, I have one more thing because I split up my audiobooks and my reading books.
Oh, okay.
I will say
it's best audiobook.
Best audiobook / honorable mention. I am currently listening to a trilogy, a World of Warcraft trilogy.
Oh,
called The War of the Ancients.
Okay.
I'm on the third one right now, so I'm going to count it as last year. Really good books. They're very fun to listen to. They're World of Warcraft. If you either like that or you either like that world or you don't. But those are very fun. But then to really go in there, I'm pretty sure this was 2023 is the year I really went and finished Galaxy's Edge audiobooks.
Yeah.
At least season 1. Those are phenomenal. That is 100% going to be my top audiobooks. Yeah. Those are just so. I mean, I mentioned it before this podcast, but if you like Star Wars and you also like the military type stuff. You like the Republic Commando books, give those a listen or a read. You can find them for free on Kindle Unlimited if you have Kindle Unlimited, or you can do the audiobooks. But they are so good.
So, do you want to start on games?
Sure. Games were oddly enough, a little bit harder for me because I don't remember exactly what games I played this year.
Oh.
There were a lot of good ones, for sure. I do know Jedi Survivor. Hogwarts Legacy came out this year, right?
Yep, right at the beginning of last year.
Remnant 2 came out. I've been playing that. Diablo 4 came out. I've been playing that. So it'd be kind of hard to pick a favorite. The most enjoyment I probably got was probably from Diablo 4, because that was the game I played with my brother. I got the most time into that game. and played a lot with it. I hate putting that as my favorite though because I'm kind of not a fan of it anymore because I don't like the way the development's going.
Okay. They're just changing too much.
There's like talks that they're gonna make the expansion like $100.
Oh, wow.
Or like even $50. And I don't think an expansion for a game that I already paid $70 should be that expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And just the direction they're going, they've left a lot of things out. There's a lot of quality of life things that should have already been in the game to begin with, considering it was a $70 game. I won't knock it because I did get hours of enjoyment out of it. But that just slightly disappoints me. But I definitely very much, once the performance issues got fixed with Jedi Survivor, loved that game. That was very fun. I loved the Jedi Survivor and the first one, Jedi Fallen Order.
Fallen Order, yeah.
Both those games are just phenomenal. And then obviously Hogwarts Legacy is up there just because it's just very nostalgia.
Yeah.
It's just fun to play in that world. So I thought favorite new game at least. Favorite game this year that I played there last year that I played though, that I'm probably gonna throw is World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
I didn't play it before. I mean, I played it years back, but I jumped back on it for the first time and like really got invested into it, and that has been the most fun I've had in a game in a while.
Mm-hmm.
Both retail, which is like the regular version, and then they also are doing World of Warcraft Classic, but they're doing this thing called Seasons of Discovery, where they're doing it in like phases and they're adding things. Like right now, the first phase, the max level is only 25, which is super easy to get to.
Yeah.
And I've been playing that with my brother. So that's just been a whole lot of fun playing. Like the experience going in, playing this MMO, basically being at endgame, but only having played for like 2 weeks. Yeah. It's just really fun. So I'm thinking I'm going to definitely put that one as my World of Warcraft as my favorite game this year.
Nice.
Which feels weird because it's a 20-year-old game, but
it's amazing. That series has stuck around. I mean, it's appropriate too, though, because it was, when you think of an MMO, it's like
that is the
quintessential
the game, yeah.
MMO that you think of. And it's awesome that how accessible they've made it to go back and play Classic. Because I know that was something for years. People would like have their own servers and they would run it. Mm-hmm. It would run, and people would play kind of not exactly legit playing like Classic WoW just because that's the only way they could get it, and that's what they loved. And so it's awesome that they can. And I think if you have a WoW subscription, Classic's just
you get it all
included. Yeah, so it's not like they're gouging you to play Classic.
They have the regular retail version, which is the most current. They have. They're going through Classic, but they're basically what they're doing is kind of interesting. They're just going back through all the expansions. So they started at Classic, then they had the initial Burning Crusade. They're currently on Wrath of the Lich King expansion. And then I think in August they're going to do the Cataclysm, which is the third expansion. Okay. So they have that, but then you also just have straight up World of Warcraft Classic, where it just stays as the classic World of Warcraft. But the thing is, what they're doing with that is they're doing new things. Like this Season of Discovery that they're doing in phases is like, they're expanding the game. They're changing some dungeons into raids. You know, that way, like, since they capped the level at 25 for this first phase, they changed one of the dungeons that's 25 into a raid that you can do. They've added like this system called runes, where you can either through quest or through killing enemies or whatever, you can get these runes that give you different abilities that aren't in the base game. Right. So it's like playing Classic, but getting a new experience. Yeah. Which is fun. But it's been really fun for me and for like my brother. But for me, I'm really enjoying the lore of World of Warcraft. So it's fun for me to go back and actually play original Classic and get the what was going on then, because I think once Cataclysm, that expansion came, it actually changed the starting zone of every character. Okay. Because of Cataclysm, like, it was like a big world changing event in the game. So it's kind of, so when I play retail, I'm getting the post Cataclysm stuff. So it's fun to go back and play an original Classic where things were before that. Right. So yeah, it's just been really fun. Cool. Definitely. If you like MMOs, I know a lot of people are like kind of like knock on World of Warcraft, and I did initially. I was like, I'll never play that, even though I'm a big MMO fan. I don't know. I'm having a lot of fun with it. Yeah, it's just fun.
We all fall to World of Warcraft eventually. It's just a matter of time.
Well, Josh is trying to get me to play Final Fantasy 14 now.
Have you ever played it?
Yeah, I played it a little bit. Never got far. He's gotten far. He's like got most of the expansions. Actually, he's about to get really back into it because a new expansion just got announced for it. Okay. Apparently that one's got a phenomenal story. I would expect nothing less from Final Fantasy.
Yeah, I've heard that too.
I'll play it eventually, but I'm too invested in World of Warcraft right now.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just stick to one game. What about you? What's a favorite for you?
I mean, there's a few I could talk about, but I said the best game I played was Jedi Survivor. Just a great sequel. You know, it really did the followed the sequel formula for success of, you know, take what you love about the previous and make it better, you know, give you more of it or something, you know. So I mean, just the the different stances, the different customization things that they add that make it fun. All the interactions, the world, all the areas feel very lived in and alive, and the story. The story is the best Star Wars story last year, in my opinion. There was, you know, you had a couple shows, you had some different things, but the best Star Wars story last year, I think, was Jedi Survivor. And what's so amazing about it is none of it was really hinging on old storylines or different or other characters, you know. So it was its own thing. The Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor stories, except for hinging on, you know, the overall like thing of the Purge, but as far as like the majority of it, it's just the story and these characters that have been created in these two games, and it's a blast to play. And even though my game, you know, my computer would crash, like it had some problems with optimization. People get mad at
100%.
It would crash when it didn't on people who were running really good systems, and it would crash on mine too. But somehow I managed to finish it and beat it, and that's saying something, that even knowing all that, it's still the best game I played last year.
They fixed the performance issues though, didn't they?
They did fix some of it, but I had started having more issues when I got to endgame than I did during it, and I think that's just because of there's like one of their updates they released, like it just started breaking more for me, but other people might have helped more, you know. So that's the best game I played.
That game was, I remember being so cool as far as a sequel too, because they didn't do that normal thing that sequels do, where all of a sudden your character somehow loses all of his powers and he's back to square one. Everything that you can do in game 1 by the end, you can do at the start of game 2. They just added more things. I just remember when I first started playing it, like being like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
Like I don't feel like I've gotten weaker, which is a classic thing that happens in a lot of sequels. Is like somehow you lose your abilities or somehow whatever, you know, whereas this one is just like, yeah, everything that you can do, but he just learns new things.
Right.
So you could still progress and still get better. That's definitely kudos to them for the developers on that one.
Definitely. So then I had a favorite experience with a game. So I played through this game called Planet of Lana with my kids. And have you seen anything on that game?
Which one is that one?
It's a side-scroller, like, puzzle game, and it's about this girl who's, like, trying to save her sister or something like that.
I think you showed it to me.
Okay.
Or told me to check it out.
So it's like on this, you know, other world, and there's this kind of agrarian society, you know, like farming society, and all of a sudden these robots just come in and start just abducting people, you know. And they take the main character's sister, and so you're trying to get back to her. And it's a short game, really fun puzzles though, really good story, great music, and it was a game that I could sit down and play with my kids. I would have Jack come. I wouldn't play it without him, and I would have Jack come sit upstairs with me and watch me. And we beat it in like 3 sittings. It was like 3 hours, something like that. Maybe a little more than that. And then when we were done, which Ellie ended up there as well, everybody got brought to tears by it.
Aww.
And by the story. And then after that, they all wanted to play it. So then they played through it. So they both beat the game now too.
Really?
Which I've helped them, but they did most of it themselves. And so it was just like a really fun gaming experience. Like I'm really hoping that is something they'll remember when they think of like games they played. That's something that I didn't have. My dad got me my first game system, stuff like that, but he wasn't really interested in playing a video game with me. So, and I always, as a kid, was like, oh, I wish Dad would play a video game with me. So that's fun that I was able to give that to my kids, and do that kind of thing with them. So that awesome. Was a fun experience.
I'll definitely say another little honorable mention would be you and I both got Pokemon Violet this year.
Oh yeah, yep.
And have been playing through that. I haven't gotten super far, but I know your kids got like super into it.
Oh yeah, they're super into Pokemon.
Yeah, they're just into Pokemon. Which just through that, more than playing the game itself, just watching your kids be so invested in Pokemon has like,
it was worth it.
The nostalgia has just hit me.
Yeah.
And I'm like living vicariously through them now. Like they'll show me their cards, and it's just the cool. Because I did that when I was a kid, man, playing the Pokemon games on the Game Boy Advance and then getting all the cards and like I'd battle, but it was never like even learning. I never actually learned how to play the card game. I would just be like, my card looks cooler, so I win. Just so fun, and it's just so cool to see your kids getting so invested in Pokemon and loving it so much. It just definitely brings back memories.
Yeah, that's definitely been a highlight of the year. Is they both played through that. And they're super into Pokemon now. They're watching the Pokemon XY on Amazon, and they've watched through it like 3 times already. But I got them like there's this thing you can get called My First Battle, and it's 2 decks that are ready made, and then there's like a mat, so it tells you where to put all your stuff. So you put your library and where you put your active card and your bench and all that stuff. So it helps you set up the game. And so I got them that. We played several battles and stuff. So it's been a lot of fun stuff with that.
I'll have to go over there and battle
this year. Yeah.
That's fun.
They would love that. They would love that.
Jack has an impeccable Pikachu impersonation.
He does. I have one more that I'll throw in there. Is last year was the year that I learned how and got into Magic the Gathering.
Ooh, yes.
Because your brother both bought us Commander decks like the year before that.
At Christmas.
Around Christmas. Mm-hmm. And so that got me wanting to learn how. So I learned how. And then the Lord of the Rings Magic like event, came out. So all their decks came out. And that just hooked me, got the hooks in me even deeper. So I've just been having fun playing Magic with, on Magic the Gathering Arena. We played some. I've got another friend into it, and then another brother-in-law. Got him some cards at Christmas time, and we played a couple games. So, it was the year that it happened.
Yeah, Magic is fun. I'm finally trying my darndest to get Stephanie into it. She's just confused with everything, which is understandable. It's a confusing game. You just have to play it more.
I would be much more confused if I hadn't played it as much on the mobile app or my computer. So if anyone was wanting to get into it, that's what I would suggest to them is get the app, play it on the app. It's very good at taking you through multiple different kinds of decks right away, and so that you get the hang of like, cause you can see everything that you can do or could happen, and then you just play with people and see what works, see what they do, and someone will pull up a deck and I'm like, I have no idea what they're doing. This seems ridiculous. They're like not attacking me, they're not summoning any creatures, and then like they'll do something at the end where it's like they had a card where if they made 23 artifacts, they win the game or something. It's like
there's some crazy things.
But it's just like you just learn by playing stuff and seeing. So, but that's my that's all my awards.
I have 2 more awards that are like shout outs as well for podcasts.
Oh, podcast awards.
Haunted Cosmos is a podcast that I started. My dad got me started on it, and I've gotten the rest of the family started
You
on
have.
it.
You have.
Just like Brandon Sanderson, I got everybody on the Haunted Cosmos now too. It is 2 Christian dudes Pretty solid guys. And they just talk about different, like haunted, scary stuff. Like they talk about Bigfoot. They talk about ghost stories. Like, you know,
their
the
tagline.
Mothman.
The tagline is the world is more than just stuff.
Yeah.
That there's like spiritual explanations and
if you like anything like that, like any sort of supernatural stuff, give them a listen. They're just fun dudes. They're chill. They do it a very cinematic way, where there's music, where they tell us a lot. It's a lot of storytelling.
Yeah, it's very scary.
It's very scary. So give it a listen. Give it a check out. Like I said, they're also solid Christians, so they usually give you some good thoughts and points about it from a Christian standpoint, which is always helpful. So give them a listen for sure. Shout out to those guys. And then number 2 for me would be once again, going to plug these guys now. Not Another D&D podcast. I was really far behind, and then Emma was born. And when she was asleep or when she was crying, I needed something to listen to kind of, while I'm trying to soothe her. Not just letting her cry, I promise.
Right.
But just in general, I went through and ended up getting caught up on like hours upon hours of their episodes that I was behind on. And those guys are just on top of it, man. They're funny. They're silly. Their story is really good. There's a lot of good improv, a lot of good role playing.
Yeah.
Complete opposite of Haunted Cosmos. But if you like D&D live play podcasts and you like it more comical or whatever, but you also like a good story that gets some serious moments in it, give them a listen.
Yeah. And
they also do some side shows called like D&D Court, where they'll send in like
questions.
Like things that happened in their game sessions.
Oh, okay.
Where like my DM did this. Where was he right?
And they'll roll on it.
And they'll roll on it. It's always in a silly way. And then they have another one where they do the old play along books, like the books where you have like you can like pick your own path.
Pick your path. Yeah.
Pick your path books. They've done a few of those as well that are always like some of the Goosebump ones. Yeah. They did some WWE ones and they're always really funny. They were cracking me up. It was definitely the first week or two of the stressfulness of having a newborn. Definitely that podcast helped me out so much. So just give those guys a listen. They're fun.
And now when you hear Emma crying, you just get this strange urge to listen to Not Another D&D.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Yeah. Strange. Kind of want to do it right now.
Well, I think that was definitely a fun way to catch up. I hope if you were curious on what we've been up to, then now you feel somewhat satisfied. And hopefully we'll be able to, I know I do. And hopefully we'll be able to, come back soon and do another one and get this thing going again and keep the Bridge of Two alive. So
keep it going.
So
we yearn for the bridge.
The people yearn for the bridge. They hunger. And we have what they want to eat or to consume. Yeah.
We will satisfy the yearning.
Yes. Anyway. So we haven't said it in a long time, but as we say, this has been the Bridge of Two podcast. A far, far away bridge. So got it.